Next, the most important thing about the whole essence of Saraswati is the story of her birth. You see, Lakshmi is a consort of Narayan or Vishnu. Parvati is a consort of Shiva. Saraswati is regarded as the consort of Brahma, but there is a subtle difference. You see, the ideal partnership for celestial beings is that between Parvati, Shakti and Shiva. That's considered to be an ideal marriage. Ideal. The next in potential is probably the relationship between Lakshmi and Vishnu. So there is a chemistry, but yet they get separated and they reunite, and yet they continue for a while and they get separated, they reunite. And you see all the stories of the avatars of Vishnu, Krishna, Rama. You see, there is an equation where the male forms are with the partners, and then there is separation or there is some issue. The other women come in case of Krishna, in case of Rama, separated, meet again, separated. So there's this little thing. Now with Saraswati and Brahma, they're actually not married. So Saraswati is a Shakti of Brahma, but there's a little tragedy in the relationship there. So let's try to understand first the mythology and then try to understand what it means. You see, during the creation process, Brahma was suddenly in a fix. He was not able to move forward with the creative potential. And thereby, he closed his eyes and he went into deep meditation. At that time, he was meditating on how to have his powers, or how to actually get the essence of creation. He was concentrating on how to because the universe is limitless. So how do I create? Where do I start and where do I end? So he was in a fix. In this form of meditation, in this path of deep meditation, a certain being, a Shakti, emerged from his forehead, third eye. Okay, now please remember, at that point of time, Brahma had only one head. He did not have four heads as is usually projected. So he had only one head. He was meditating, and from his third eye emerged a wonderful form of female divinity, and that was Saraswati. As soon as Brahma saw his own creation, he got attracted to Saraswati. But Saraswati did not like it. She thought that because she sprung from his forehead, she thought that she is kind of, like a daughter to her. And so she did not like the fact that Brahma was attracted to her and wanted to make her his consort. So as a result, Saraswati kept running away from Brahma. So first she ran in the front, but she could not escape the gaze of Brahma. Then she went, so Brahma was looking at the eastern direction. Then she went to the north. A head sprung from Brahma, trying to look at Saraswati in the northern direction. So two heads emerged. Then Saraswati ran in the western direction. And then a head emerged from Brahma, trying to look at Saraswati in the western direction. So you had three heads. Then Saraswati ran in the southern direction. A head from Brahma sprang, trying to look at her in the southern direction. So now there are four heads of Brahma. At that point, Saraswati thought that now there is no escape because all the cardinal points are now covered. So now she started running upwards. When she started doing that, then a fifth head from Brahma emerged looking upwards. When the fifth head emerged and she could not escape the gaze of Brahma even in the upward direction, she started praying for protection. When Saraswati started praying for protection, there is the one guy in the whole universe who is the ultimate protector, and that is Shiva. Shiva came. Saraswati was disgusted by the fact that Brahma was just gazing at her, and she requested Shiva to help her. Shiva took his trident and cut the fifth head of Brahma. And the fifth head of Brahma fell. That form of Shiva is another name. There's a special name of that form of Shiva who cut the fifth head of Brahma, called Bhairava. He is called Bhairava. When that happened, Brahma realized his mistake and he prayed to Shiva that to forgive him, and Saraswati remained independent but acknowledged that she will be the Shakti of Brahma, but there was no relationship. So Saraswati and Brahma are not the typical consorts as is Lakshmi and Vishnu, and absolutely not like Shiva and Shakti, Parvati. They are there, they are acknowledged, but there is no relationship. Saraswati is the Shakti of Brahma, that much she acknowledges, but there is no in typical sense a marriage. Okay, this is the story. But what is the meaning behind it? You see, the four heads of Brahma. So first let us understand the relationship between Brahma and Saraswati. You see, one thing that we can get out of this story, even by just listening to this story, is the concept that Saraswati did not want to be violated. So the stress on purity. Thus the concept of being independent, thus the concept of the color white. So purity is essential in the form of Saraswati. Now, one thing that we have to understand is the relationship with the Brahma and her Shakti and his Shakti. The head of Brahma, the birth of Saraswati from the third eye from Brahma indicates that she is a potential of creativity. Sarasa. Again, creativity, potential. But the potential of creativity is not to be owned by the master who is the creator. This is a very important Vedic concept. That means, even if I am a teacher and I created my teaching is so pure that even if I am diluted or I am in some way or form fallen, my teaching is still unaffected, because the creative impulse is something that cannot be touched. So now let's think of why the four heads and why the fifth head had to be cut. You see, the four heads of Brahma indicate the five heads of Brahma that sprung indicate the five principal elements: earth, water, air, fire. The fifth head indicates ether. What's the Vedic terms for this? Agni, Jala or Apa, Prithvi, Vayu. These four elements each have one fault. They all have, the four elements have one fault each. But the one element which is almost faultless is Akash. Because Akash is the purest form. So when Saraswati went up and when the head of Akash tried to also control her, that was removed from Shiva. Shiva went and removed the fifth head, which symbolizes Akash, because Akash is the holding ability, the grasping ability in humans. And that should not violate Saraswati. So any material form is not enough to control the element in us which is called learning, grasping ability. You can write a book. Let's say I write a book. The book, the pages, the pen, everything is what is called nashwar. That means they will get destroyed over time. The book is a material thing. If you keep it unkept in a library, there is the weather will wear it off and it will die out. The pen, of course, has a longevity. It will die out. Okay, and then what are the flaws of Agni, Prithvi, water? Very good question by Atul. And Lillian, yes, it is getting recorded. First of all, each of the elements has one major flaw which corresponds to an element diametrically opposite to it. For example, one of the biggest flaws of fire is that it can be extinguished by water. One of the biggest flaws of water, reciprocating the feeling, is that it can evaporate due to fire. So these two elements have one of the flaws that each complements each other. So water and fire should be careful with each other. Each in varying proportions can destroy the other. Okay. What is the problem with earth and air? With earth can wither away by air, and air can be trapped by earth. These two elements also should be careful about each other's potential in varying proportion. One element which controls everything is the concept of space. Space can hold everything. Since space is the one particular element in us which is considered to be the most celestial and most nearest to God. Yes, so fire, water, and earth and wind, these two are pairs. Now earth, again water and fire it will be. So fire, water, water, fire.